Let's talk about the best epic gear sets in the game. Which gear sets should we be using on our DPS? What's going to get us the most damage? And we need to do a lot of this testing on the test server, but I did a little short tier list on all the sets from the 3 major dungeons where we get gear, and we're going to talk about the epic 2 set pieces, and it can really help you out. This is pretty big. We're going to start out with Grave of Venom and look at the 4 pieces here. The other 2 dungeons only have 2 sets, but they're pretty strong. One set is really strong in Grave of Curse, and then the other 2 sets in Grave of Rot, which is kind of hard to do. I'm going to have to do a guide on that one. Those are some really strong sets to get us through PvE content. A lot of PvE content. We're going to need some of that, especially in the Fey Meander going up against Ravatrix. But here, there's a lot of DPS. It's all about 15% additional attack, and then we get the skill haste. 15% additional attack, we get attack speed. Then here we have the Enlightenment with the attack, and this one gives us crit rate with attack. We'll go back to the game in a minute. Here's the scenario I'm going to give you. If I'm using Usha, and she does every 2 attacks, she does double damage if there's frost up on the enemy. Do we want to get her basic attack faster then, so she can start doing more basic attacks? Do we want to get skill haste on her so she can get back to her skills faster? Or do we want to give her crit rate so she'll hit crits and do more damage there? That is something that we definitely have to go test on the test server and see which of these is going to do the best for her, because she's so unique, right? She's got really special moves that I'm not sure. With her, I'm just not sure what is going to be the best. Here's the passive every 2 attacks. When we increase that attack speed, with the Predator set, we can get that attack speed up to 20% for a 2-piece set. So we put 2 of those on there, and we're talking 40% additional attack speed. And I did some little numbers over to the right. I took somebody who had a base attack speed of 1.82 in the game. I gave them the Predator set, all 4 pieces, and their attack speed went down to 1.25 seconds. Those are the intervals in between them doing attacks. So now instead of every 1.82 seconds, they're attacking their basic attack every 1.25 seconds. And then you take somebody that's at 2.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds, it takes them down to 1.79 seconds. That's a big difference, but do we need it? We don't always need it on heroes. Some heroes benefit from having faster attack more than others. So case by case scenario on some of those heroes. Like some heroes do 3 basic attacks, and on their 3rd basic attack, they'll remove a debuff. That's really cool. And if we need that, then we can lower their attack speed and really get that going. Especially if they're a support and we're not worried about their damage, then we don't really have to worry about crit rate on them. But skill haste, on the other hand, will lower the frequency that we're doing our skills. It will lower our skills down from 23 seconds with a full set on. That's 4 pieces of skill haste, the Goblin Brawler, which I think is the best one out there. Lower it down from 23 seconds to 21.3 seconds. Now think about this. If you're at 21.3 seconds and you're going up against somebody in arena and you're doing a mirror match, it's my Usha against your Usha, and we've got some other people around them. Usha does a 3x3 square. It's a big AoE. It hits extremely hard if there's frost up. Mine goes off a couple seconds faster than yours. Probably not going to kill anybody on the first time it goes off. Maybe. Depends on how you have it all set up. But the second time it goes off, you're still going off before hers does. And I bet you by then people are low. And that big cleave is going to kill everybody on their team, anybody near. So you're getting that jump in arena. Anytime you can do your skills, your ultimate skills, your saving skills that save other heroes that do big heals, and you can do them faster, more often than the enemy, it's going to be better. That's why skill haste is so amazing. And we've got one down there from Grave of Rot that gives you accuracy and skill haste. So if you need accuracy and skill haste, you want to get your skills more often, and you need accuracy to try to apply a debuff down here in the Swift Shadow Chest, then you would use that one on some kind of support hero that's trying to apply like decrease attack or trying to stun people or freeze people. You would use that there. And it's really important to have your skills faster in PvE as well, going up against these bosses. The more often we can do something to save our ass, it's better. The more often we can get that decreased attack up, it is better for our team. That's why I love this skill haste. That's a simplified breakdown on skill haste, and you can see where it takes 23 to 21. It takes 10 seconds for like a battle skill, from 10 seconds to 9.11 seconds. So you're getting it more often. In a 3-minute fight, you're going to be launching these abilities way more often. So I really like that with the skill haste. And it's always worked out better for me because as we go up higher and higher against these bosses, they get faster. They're going across with their skills faster and faster. So I really, really like that. But in case of Usha, where we need to test out her damage, it's going to have to be on the test dummy. We're going to have to take a full set with his skill haste, with attack speed, and then with crit, and see which one really, really benefits her to get the most damage, if that's what we're looking for. And I'll do that. I'll do that on the test dummy, and I'll report back to you which set gives her the most damage. We'll do whole videos on everyone out there, which set really benefits you the most next. We'll break it down. The Assassin's Technique set, where we get 30 Enlightenment. If we do 4 pieces, we're going to get 60 Enlightenment plus that attack. That's only for anybody's skill who says Enlightenment. There's a lot of poison classes out there that actually put up a poison debuff. You can increase that poison debuff damage with Enlightenment, and then a lot of times their skill says that they do a little bit of damage off of attack and then a lot of damage off of Enlightenment. That is the only time you would ever put Enlightenment on someone. Only if it says it within their skill or they're putting up a poison debuff. Not the actual poison affinity where there's a whole bunch of different people, right? Poison and fire go together, radiant and the rest. Only if they're actually applying that poison debuff, it does increase that damage. And it should always say it with that ability. So we're going to test that out. If I'm a poisoner, is it more beneficial for me to have this Enlightenment, which we tried it today on the test server? It definitely is. And we'll get a video out on Enlightenment, specifically Enlightenment, breaking down all the numbers. Anything that says Enlightenment that's a new hero, you might not know who a new hero is, but basically if they say that it really increases their damage or increases their shields or any of that, it's a lot. So put Enlightenment on them, and that skill is going to heal for a lot. If it says Enlightenment, it's going to shield for a lot, and it's going to do a lot of damage. All of them seem to do that now. So get that Enlightenment on them. If it specifically says, 1,000, 3,000% of Enlightenment, use that on there and try it out. I think it's going to be better for those skills. But again, skill haste will get you back around to doing that move faster. So I always like skill haste, so I can keep with those fast bosses. And then crit rate is crit rate, right? If we need crit rate on somebody like Sutha, she's a legendary, dauntless female orc, okay? If she crits, she always does double damage. So yeah, we want to get that crit rate on her. This is definitely what I would put on her, because if she doesn't crit, she doesn't do double damage, and that's her thing, right? That's her gig. We got to get that crit up on her. So somebody like that, and toward end game when we're getting more and more crit and we're working on more critical damage, then yeah, we would go for this. If we have high critical damage, if we have somebody that ramps up their critical damage like Tono now, she's the lizard female, the fire wild. I think I'm explaining her properly. She needs crit because she ramps up. She already starts with 20% additional crit with her passive, and then she ramps up her critical damage. So if we have high critical damage with low crit rate, what good does that do us? Nothing. We got a crit to take advantage of that critical damage. So that would be perfect for her on that. And we kind of need to break it down, right? We need to do a list of all the heroes and what's the best gear for those heroes. So we need to do a tier list and then go even more in depth with that tier list on heroes and say what the best gear. And I need to be able to show you numbers on that. And that's what I like to do. So we'll keep working. It's a process, man. I'm streaming 5 hours a day on Twitch at 8 p.m. Eastern. Come join me. And then I'm doing family stuff. And then I'm making 2 videos a night. So it takes a little while, but we will get to all of it. Going down here to Grave of Curse, 15% defense, 15% HP. All your tanks and anyone you want to keep alive. That's it. Mitigate that damage with all that defense. Get that higher HP pool. Always put it on your tanks for people who do damage based off of defense, for people who need good HP, for anybody you're going into the Harpy with, Grave of Venom, you need to mitigate all that damage because that's where we really need a heavy tank there. This is the gear. This is the gear that's going to get us legendary gear. So go watch my video I just put out tonight on Grave of Curse, stage 6 with all rares. It's crazy. I'm farming gear with all rares on stage 6, and all we got to do is get to a 5-star soon. Once we reach adventure rank level 30, we're going to be making 5-star heroes. We're going to take that gear that I'm farming on stage 6 right now and go get legendary gear in Grave of Venom against that Harpy. We're going to beat stage 7. It's so great. The blessing chest is just more enlightenment. If your hero says that they're going to do something massive with enlightenment and you want HP with that, they're not really doing damage and they need to survive, you could use that chest, but I don't really like that chest. Maybe that's lower than an S to me because I can't think of many classes where I want more HP, but I want more enlightenment. Most of my healers, even Hexandra, she heals her ultimate off of the allies' max HP that she's healing, 25% of their max HP. Enlightenment does nothing for that. Doesn't say anything in that skill about enlightenment, but her battle skill does say enlightenment. It says a percentage of her attack along with percentage of enlightenment. But how often do I rely on her battle skill? I'm relying on her ultimate. So I want that ultimate to come around faster. So I'm going to put her in skill haste. I'm going to make sure that I can get that move up as many times as possible in like a 3-minute battle. Instead of making her battle skill heal for more, we don't need to concentrate on that. We need to make sure that the big heal from that ultimate is going off more often and healing everybody for 25% of their max HP. Grave of Rot and Heart of the Deer Herder. This is 60 resistance and 40 accuracy. That's a whole whopping 120 resistance for a 4-piece set and 80 accuracy. That's huge going up against Ravatrix in the Fey Meander. That's the lady that's the big plant that puts all the poisons on us. The more poisons that she applies to us, she gets a permanent stack of damage. So it's better to, you have to go in there with high resistance or blocking debuffs on your team. And there's very few heroes that do that. Get that resistance lead. There's 3 epics that have a resistance lead that you could have. Throw that resistance lead on, throw this gear on because we fight her every 10 floors. And every time she gets harder and harder. We need more and more resistance. So this is the gear for that. 120 is a lot. And then we get a resistance chest with that. Within this, the Heart of the Deer Herder. And then we get whatever the resistance chest is going to be at like 80 or something. And then all 120. And then we get substats. We're going to have a lot of resistance. And believe me, we're going to need it because we cannot get those poisons up. She'll get that permanent damage stack. And then over time, she's going to kill your whole entire team. Even within this dungeon, Grave of Rot, we're going to need some resistance if you want to go that route because he puts up that heal block. He puts up a poison and then he puts up slow speed penalty on us so we don't get our moves as fast. We can go in there and resist all of that. If we start getting gear from it, we can resist it. So that's where this gear is really going to come in handy. And anywhere else in the game where we need to resist something, maybe we're getting locked up with some stuns or some kind of control, then we're going to need it there. It's a really powerful set. The Swift Shadow chest, it's just like the Goblin Brawler chest. We get that 20 skill haste, but we get accuracy with this. It could go on a DPS class. Maybe there's a DPS class where we've got to knock down the turn meter, put slow speed on them, decrease attack on them, put some poisons up on them, and we want to get to our skills faster. This could be the set for that. Total, we're going to have 80 accuracy. That's a lot of accuracy. And then we're going to have our skills going faster, which if you look at the top right where I put those numbers, right, it takes to 23 seconds to a 21.3 seconds. We can also get skill haste as substats on those runes. Those runes we have underneath our gear, we've already got one. We're about to get the other in the ancient battlefield when we fight that dwarf. And those can have skill haste on them to get us even lower. Not much lower, but we'll get some substats on there to lower it a little bit. That way we can get back to our skills over and over. So I consider that one to be really good, especially for any support or any attacker that we need to get those debuffs up with. So those are the sets. This is what we've got. We've got 3 major dungeons. These are all the epic sets. The legendary sets are very different. There's 3-piece legendary sets and they do some wild things. They're not as simple as these sets. And I've done damage testing with those on the test server extensively. So I'm going to come out with a video on that soon once we start farming there. Let me know your thoughts on these sets. Let me know about heroes that are like Usha that we can use a variety of sets on and that we need to go and test. Like we know these sets are going to be good, but which one is going to be the best? Let me know heroes like that down below. Tell me which ones you want me to test out on the test server. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Appreciate all the love and the support. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys all in a video soon.